Welcome back to Group Chat. I'm your host, Kate McKinley. Group Chat is a podcast by RKD Group, and it's dedicated to sharing the stories of the people in purpose-driven roles who have spent their careers working at nonprofit organizations. Today's guest is Elizabeth Romano, Senior Director of Operations and Procurement at Food Bank for New York City. Elizabeth's story is a special one for me to get to tell for a couple reasons. First, as the highest ranking female leader in their Bronx warehouse, Elizabeth's experience as a leader in a very male-dominated area is such a powerful way to celebrate Women's History Month. Second, because her leadership role at Food Bank for New York City's warehouse gives us insight into a different but equally important side of the fundraising space. And finally, because as you'll hear Elizabeth share in our interview, her calling to serve at Food Bank for New York City is very personal. So let's hear from Elizabeth.
So the way I landed at Food Bank for New York City it might be a little different than it wasn't a career that I chose. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I was a single mom. I was a teen mom. Once I had my daughter, she was about 2 years old, and I was like, okay, it's time for me to go get a job. And I had a friend that was working at a temp agency at the time. And he came upon a job, and it was, at the time, the name of Food Bank for New York City was Food for Survival. And I remember coming into this market where we're located and being lost for about a half hour trying to find the company. And I came in, I was filling in for someone as a temporary position. And that was July of the year 2000. September of the year 2000, the person came back. But then I was offered a position upstairs in what was called the order processing department. Okay. And that's when things started to change for me. You know, a lot of things started making sense. I loved chatting with our members every day. At that time, we used to take phone orders and do everything over the phone. So there was a lot of communication with them. And I just fell in love with it. And it took me a little bit to just get to the thing. Because at the beginning, to me, it was just like, I need to get a job because I need to get some money, for my little girl and myself. And then little by little, I fell in love with it.
Like many people I've spoken to, Elizabeth fell into nonprofit work a little bit by accident. And as you heard her share, she started in a temp position because she needed a job. And she stayed because she fell in love with the members that she got to connect with, but also because Food Bank for New York City's mission was so close to her heart.
Growing up, I grew up in a food insecure home.
Okay.
And at the time, again, I made a lot of connections while working here, like just connecting pieces to my life growing up. I'm the oldest of 5 siblings, so I would have more responsibilities than the younger ones. I would help out my mom a lot. And I would go at the beginning of the month, I would go to a food pantry. And where I thought, I've known these ladies for a long time. So it's like, okay, after I was just going, they would give me bags. I would come home and I would see them once a month. So growing up in a food insecure home, and then I had my daughter, my family moved away. My daughter lost her father. So here I am in New York City, single mother. Again, I'm working here. And there were those nights where it's just like enough for my daughter to eat. Mm-hmm. And she would ask, like, Mom, where's it? And I'm like, it's okay. I had a late lunch. So just growing up in it and still struggling with it as an adult, it's really where it connects me to do the work that we do. And I absolutely love what I do on a day-to-day basis. I really do.
Elizabeth has worked at Food Bank for New York City now for more than 2 decades. In her tenure, she's experienced her fair share of challenges as the food bank has pivoted to serve their community throughout some major disasters and emergencies.
I definitely had a different feeling for September 11th. We couldn't get trucks into the city and things of that nature. I had to work with local precincts to see what we can do. What size truck can we get? Can we get a van close enough? And even hearing, I remember doing work with a specific program that we can get it over to them in a truck, and they could take vans over to the food pantries that we're assisting. And just hearing their joy when this lady said, hey, food bank is going to be able to get us a truck, and just the people in the background, like just happy and, just coming together to uplift our city in such a difficult time. Like that to me was definitely, it was very early on, like one of the things that really stuck with me. And then I'm going to try to see, I think when Sandy came around, that was also another difficult one, but stuck with me in the way we came together, just the city in itself. And then it happened again during the pandemic. I think it's these, we can say like either a natural disaster, these emergencies that occur that we haven't planned for or anything like that. And it happens, and just the unity and everyone coming together and us doing this amazing work.
So here's where I wanted to pivot a little bit and dig into Elizabeth's perspective as someone whose day-to-day role ensures that people have access to food and other essential items whenever and wherever they need it.
I have a great team that I work along with, but we currently oversee warehouse operations, transportation, our mobile pantry program, food sourcing, procurement, and logistics. So it's, day to day. There's some days that are depending on the amount of meetings and things of that nature, but just working with the team, making sure we work through any hurdles that we might have. But they're all, like you said, they're all different. They all bring different things. But again, it's an amazing team, and I can't see myself like doing this work without them. They're great. And it's busy. It's busy. It is busy to say the least. But it's, in the morning, checking in any reports that I have, like daily reports that I look at, meeting with the team, making sure that we're all on the same page if there's anything that comes up, and still working on those things that we're to focus on for the future.
As you can imagine, overseeing the logistics for any food bank, but especially one of Food Bank for New York City's size, brings its challenges, and Elizabeth tackles those head on with the support of her team members.
So yeah, it can go anywhere from one of our trucks going down and the team having to figure out how we're going to get the deliveries out, to where we are also picking up from like our local produce market that's like our neighbor. They might have an excessive amount of pickups. We only have a certain amount of trucks, and just making sure, how do we handle this? Which is the best way to go? Keeping communication open, just to get things done and keep things moving. Rely a lot on my daily reports. I'm looking at reports on a daily basis, and speaking to the team, making sure everyone on all levels is okay. Because at times, people, as much as we're here and we're doing this work, our team members are also living life, right? And things happen. So just making sure that they're okay, that they're in a safe place to work, that they feel okay, any miscommunications are all sorted out.
You've heard Elizabeth mention how heavily she relies on technology and reporting to effectively do her job. And so I wanted to explore that a little bit more. So I asked Elizabeth how she's seen the evolution of technology impact the number of people that they can serve throughout her career.
So in having certain tools, reports, like just data, whether it's we're getting information from Feeding America or New York State, New York City, and just having it and seeing where we're needed, right? We have what we call like food deserts. So it's like, okay, we have a high population, but there's hardly nothing around here. How can we get there? So just having this technology of telling us like, hey, help is needed here. And for us, whether it's a mobile pantry or pop-up distribution, just showing up in these neighborhoods. So our impact is widespread throughout the city of New York, you can say, yeah. Because now we're going into places where, people that live there would have to travel out for quite a while to get to their closest food pantry. So meeting them where they need to be has been great.
I mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, but Elizabeth and I recorded this in March, which is Women's History Month. As the highest ranking female leader in Food Bank for New York City's warehouse, I wanted to get her perspective on navigating a leadership position in a male-dominated area.
I think because I've been in operations for a little bit, I've learned I see. The communication, like learning behaviors, how to communicate with the males that I have, because it is the majority of my team are males. I'm just making sure that I understand if they're trying to communicate, making sure that I understand what they're saying. So communication is, again, is key for me to be sure that I am successful with this team. I would say for me, I started, again, it's over, it's been a little bit, but keep going, your ideas, keep sharing them, keep speaking up. You're always going to find, I have like a team, and it's a very like specific, right? Like, well, I'll go like, maybe my idea to me, it makes sense. So I'm like, let me say it out loud to someone else before I say it to someone else. Make sure you have someone you can lean on. It's really, it's hard to do things and think about things just on your own. So I have that circle, right, that gives me the support for me to be able to do that. I think it's really important to have a support system for yourself.
I loved that Elizabeth shared how important it was for female leaders to have a support system they can turn to. But I also know for many of us, myself included, that can be hard to find at first. And so I asked her how she was able to find hers.
It's funny, since I started here as a temp, the person that trained me here, she's still here. And I think that was like one of my first.
Yeah.
And she'll lead me, like she'll let me know, like, that's crazy, but it could work. Let's give it a try, right? But within like the different departments that I worked within in operations, there have been challenges. But again, keep pushing forward, keep, presenting your ideas. If no one is, write them down, it'll come up. It's gonna come up, but you're gonna be able to use it. Believe in yourself. And just building the connections as they come. I think it's really important to have that support system, someone to lean on, someone to support you.
Elizabeth's story was so incredible, and I am so honored that she shared it with all of us. And as we closed out our conversation, I asked Elizabeth if she had any final words of wisdom for others in the nonprofit space. And she left us with one piece of advice and also one very important reminder as we wrap up Women's History Month about Food Bank for New York City's Woman to Woman campaign.
It runs from March 1st to May 1st. I think it's super important to help with these products. Again, I don't believe that a woman should choose between food or a personal hygiene product. And for anyone out there looking to come into food banking or any nonprofit, again, remember the mission of where you're at. Remember the end user. Yes, makes it so much easier. And it's fulfilling. It's like this feeling like I can have like the most stressful day ever, right? But just knowing what we did, that mission, that moment, that, that single parent could receive something, or child, it's fulfilling. Like, you feel amazing.
Group Thinkers is a production of RKD Group. For more information, including how you can partner with RKD to accelerate growth for your fundraising and nonprofit marketing needs, visit rkdgroup.com.